So we are starting our first VARC session, that is Introduction to VARC. In this, I am going to tell you about VARC section, time limit, number of questions, types of questions, word limit, reading speed, how to read, from where to read, what not to read, and then we have some 20 questions to answer. So read, go on, read. Some passages have been written for you. Read. One class sheet is there in your hands. Read. What difficulties do people face? Why VARC is not like quant or LRDI? Because in quant and LRDI you have a set method. You use this formula to calculate SI, you use this formula to calculate CI. In VARC, there are no formulas. You have to focus on how words interlink, how sentences are there, how the tone of the passage is changing with however, moreover, yet, but, how the tone changes with these words. So here we are trying to excel in VARC, and for that you have to read. Absolutely, you have to read, but you should not be reading papers at this stage. You should not be reading books available on bookstalls adjacent to road. Why? Books like Psychology of Money, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Alchemist, these are stepping stones. CAT has moved away from easy content to dense content. If you talk about 2015, before that, I will say reading such books will help you, because in those years, the content or the kind of question VRC was not very dense. When I say dense, dense can be in two manners. I can have more number of words. I can have higher level of words. I can have too much change in tone. So this is what makes a RC or a passage dense. More number of words. See, if I fill this screen, I give you 3 paragraphs, but I have too many words in that. You have to understand, read too many words, and then mark answers. That makes the RC dense. Another thing that makes dense is higher level of words. I'll show you. I have selected those RCs as well. Then there is too much change of tone or too much variation in language. Like one author reviewing the work of other 3 authors. Can I say we'll have too much change in the tone? Because the person is trying to describe somebody else's work. So nowadays, more and more content is moving towards this. So broadly, if you ask me, has the question or the passage been taken from article or a book or a scientific journal? More and more CAT articles are coming from science journals or journals written by experts. So less and less articles are coming from newspapers. In fact, probably the New Yorker, the Guardian, these are the only 2 sources in the last 1 or 2 years from which articles have been taken. Now, if I say Economist, it is not an article, it is not a book, it's a journal. Economist gives you very dense material. It is well researched. So more and more CAT is moving towards this. If you're reading books available on roadsides, not for CAT. Leave it there. So sectional cutoffs, we'll talk about sectional cutoffs in the next slide. We'll come to that. Now, how to read, what to read, I also cover that. What things should you focus on? Generally speaking, there are 2 kinds of questions asked in CAT. In fact, now only one kind. I'll show you. I'll show you on the next slide. This has been the pattern for last 2 years. You have 24 questions. You have 40 minutes time limit. You cannot switch the section. You cannot go back and come forward, or you can go forward and come back to the VR session. You will have 21 questions of multiple choice and 3 questions of theta. How can a question be theta in CAT? What is theta? After giving you a question, they expect you to write an answer. Can you write a whole paragraph? No. So theta have always been para jumbles. What are para jumbles? CAT people have selected a paragraph from somewhere. They have divided that paragraph into 4 lines or 5 lines or 6 lines, like the old pattern, and they have jumbled it. They have named it B, they have named it C, they have named it A, and they have named it D. They have jumbled those lines. So you have to simply type in the right order of the sentences. That is parajumble. Now these 21 multiple choice questions, I'll show you what these questions are. Fill in the blanks also 2 years back were theta. How were they theta? A paragraph was there. There was a missing space somewhere and missing space in 3-4 places. A, B, C, and D. And one sentence was given. One sentence. This sentence will fill which space? This was CAT 2022 and 2023. Fill in the blanks were there, but how were the fill in the blanks given to you? A complete paragraph had large blanks, large 4 blanks A, B, C, D. And one sentence will go into A or B or C or D. You have to simply type the answer where will it go. That's all. So either fill in the blanks or parajumble can be theta questions. Everything else has to be multiple choice. If it is multiple choice, when you get the correct answer, you get 3 points. When you get the wrong answer, you lose 1 point. For MCQ, that is the marking scheme. For theta, you get 3 points. For correct, you lose nothing for negative. Because there is nothing left to lose, people mark any random answer, write any random answer in parajumbles. And I'll tell you how to distribute time as well in a few minutes time. Now, 4 passages were there, have been there for 4 questions each for 23, 22, and 21 as well. 2020 we had different pattern. In 2020 we had, if I'm not mistaken, 26 questions. So there were 5 questions in one RC, 5 questions in one RC, 4 in 1, 4 in 1. There were more RC questions, 2 more RC questions. Since 2021 up to 2023, the pattern has been 4 passages, 4 questions. Parajumbles, usually there will be 2 or 3 questions. It is not sentence competition, it is para competition. It's para competition. You will have 2 or 3 questions, summary based, again 2 or 3 questions. So these are called verbal ability questions and these are called RC questions. That is why we have named it VA and RC. The breakdown for the last 3 years has been 16 questions and 8 questions. This is fixed since 2021, 22, and 23. Every year we have 3 slots. So 9 question papers are available in this particular format. 8 questions and 16 questions. So according to you, what is the length of a RC passage? What is the usual length of a RC passage? So again, when you talk about RC passage, there will be a passage with couple of paragraphs in it. Usually the paragraphs are either 4 or 5, not less. And then there will be questions. And those questions will also come with options. So usually the range of a single RC is in the range of, let us say, 480 words to 540 words. That is the passage part of it, which you have to read. Sometimes you have to read it twice. Sometimes you have to summarize it. And then usually a single question is about 100 words or maybe 80 words. So 4 questions. So you have 400 to 300 words here. Can I say one complete RC, if I talk about upper range, is around 900 words and is around 700 words, or anywhere around 800 to 900 words is one RC. Yes, समझ रहा है क्या अभी तक? You're able to keep up with this. Now, how much speed do you need for you to be able to get cutoffs? I've heard people are reading 500 words per minute, 400 words per minute. Once I start making the language complex, your speed will come down by default. So speed reading, I will not even advise you to apply in CAT. Don't even think about reading in fast or this you can apply in exams like SNAP, CET, and NMAT. You can try and read faster here because the passages will not be dense. There will not be too much tone variation. Answers will be straightforward. You can simply look at the question and locate the information answer for SNAP, CET, and NMAT. At not. So you'll have to read maybe twice the whole passage. So if I talk to you about cutoffs, let us talk about some scores. According to you, in the last 2 years, how much should I score to approach 90 percentile mark in VARC? What score do I need? How many marks do I need out of total, which is 24 into 3, 72 marks total? How many marks do I need to reach 90 percentile? 22 to 23 marks will reach 90 percentile. If I wish to reach 95 percentile, if I wish to reach 99 percentile, if I wish to reach 99.5 percentile, how much score do I need? From 90 percentile to 99.5 percentile, the score pretty much doubles. Score pretty much doubles. There is a large jump in the upper scale when you are trying to increase from 99.99.1, 99.1 to 99.2. The jump is larger. You need more marks in that range to have a small gain in percentile. Here you add 5 or 6 marks, maybe 7 marks, you will reach here. You add again 4 or 5 marks, you will reach here. And now you will need 8 to 9 marks to reach this level. Maybe 7 marks you'll reach here. Can I say 6 marks or 7 marks? It's just 2 questions gap. So from here to here, you have 2 questions gap. Here to here, you have maybe 2 or 3 questions gap. Here to here, you have definitely 3 or more questions gap. 9 marks, 10 marks more you will need the last leg. Let us break it down. A lot of people say, I will skip VA, I will focus only on RC and clear cutoffs. Can you achieve this? Because best accuracy that I have seen people get 70% accuracy, 75% accuracy. 75% accuracy means in a single RC, you are answering 4 questions, 3 are correct and 1 is wrong. You are getting how many marks? 8 marks. 3 questions correct, 3 marks, 1 question wrong, 1 loss. I'm talking about RCs. So let us say you want to reach, let us say this score. 99 percentile you want to reach without any help from VA, because I have heard people say VA छोड़ देते हैं, VA में तो बनता नहीं है. I'll tell you the reason behind that as well. So how many questions will you have to solve accurately to reach here? Can I say 5 times of this is required? Do you have 5 RCs? You get your answer. You cannot cross 99 percentile based only on RCs. You have to mix and match. Maybe there's one very difficult RC. You can solve only 3 of these. Maybe you can solve exactly 3 or only 3 of these RCs. You have got how much score? 24. When your accuracy is 75%, 3 RCs you have solved. Can I say I need a score of 2022 here? How many questions do I have? 8 questions. Do I need to get them all correct? Yes. That is why scoring 99.5 in VARC is slightly difficult. Let us say in the 4th RC, you manage maybe 2 more questions. 2 more questions means 6 more marks. So your burden decreases on this side. So if you are targeting 99 percentile, I'll say 3 RCs and maybe 6 VA questions should suffice. 3 RCs and maybe 5 or 6 VA questions will suffice. But 99.5, you have to have 3 RCs, maybe 1 or 2 extra questions from the next RC, and maybe 5 VA questions correct. 3 RCs plus maybe 1 question, 2 question more from the next RC, and around 6 VA questions correct. That is the roadmap you'll have to look at. How much jump is there? How many more questions should I solve? And are you able to maintain 75% accuracy? Where accuracy goes on, attempts have to, don't blindly mark answers. Now, why was I apprehensive? Why do people say I'll skip VA? Because the usual length, I'll tell you when we reach that, types of questions that we have in CAT. Summary questions. What you will have is a paragraph, and they will say write a summary. Can I say when I'm writing a summary, it should capture all the essence of the paragraph? I am not saying summary should be same as the paragraph or the passage. It should capture all the essence. Can I introduce new concepts in summary? If I'm writing about industrial revolution, let us say in UK, can I bring in economy of India there when I'm writing summary? No, you should not introduce new information there. If the paragraph is general, talking about overview of psychology or development of psychology of humanity, can I bring in specific examples there in the summary? No. Do not bring in something new in the summary. Do not bring in anything which is beyond the scope of the discussion. Again, do not also contradict what is given to you. Here, I am talking about evolution of life, how it went from fish to mammals to dinosaurs, how did they go extinct, and so on, so on, so on, how we have reached humanity or the current stage. Now, if I start writing about negativity of humanity, can I say I was being positive earlier while developing the theory? Now, can I speak negative about humanity here? No. Don't contradict the information given to you in the passage. So, more and more we'll elaborate once we reach questions. Usually, what is the length? 100 to 150 words, and that includes options as well. Those 150 words includes options as well. So look at this here while looking at RC paragraphs, I was telling you there are usually 4 or 5 paragraphs about 125 words each, 4 paragraphs, and then one question is worth 100 words. So do you not feel here that this is costly? If there was one paragraph and one question, you are spending 225 words here to answer that question. Here you are reading and answering 150 words. So I feel summary questions should be given little more preference over RCs. You have to read less, you have to remember less, you have to answer on the spot. Do you need prior knowledge to answer these questions? No. CAD people do not assume that you have prior knowledge. That is why while reading content online, we don't want you to mug up. We want you to focus on movement of information. Is the author being in the positive state or negative state? Is he too critical? Is he hopeful for future? Focus on such things. And yes, it is always possible out of 4 options to negate 2. Once you negate 2, the fight is always between the remaining 2 options. So how to eliminate that? We'll come back. Para summary questions. Para jumble questions. Now again, when these questions are taken, usually let us say an article has been written into some scientific journal and that article has got 10 paragraphs. What CAD people will do is they will pick one of the paragraphs and they will convert that into parajumble. In that paragraph, let us say there are 8 to 9 lines interconnected. They don't have to pick every line that is connected A, B, C, D. They might skip a line in between and say this is A and this is B. But for the sake of continuity, they will give you some additional words that connect A and B. Let us say I'm introducing here how gaming is good for children at a certain age. Now there is some paragraph giving examples. It has been removed. Now comes a new paragraph which gives me a contradictory idea that gaming is slowing down the brain development. So can I say I will use but here? Earlier I was in support. By using but I am against, or I will use word like however. हाँ नहीं. So this kind of thing is being done in CAT. If they rearrange some sentences, if they take away some information, they will bring in new connectives. I'll give you examples of this as well. Nowadays, since last 3 years, we have questions with exactly 4 sentences. Earlier, there have been examples with 5 sentences and 6 sentences. And because it is a paragraph, again, the word limit will be from 100 to 120 words. The difficult part is if I give you 4 sentences, A, B, C, D, can I say 4 things can be arranged in 24 ways? There are 24 possibilities in which you can arrange them. There are 24 possibilities of right answer. It becomes very difficult to get the answer. Even if you know the matched pair is BC. So can I say I still have to arrange 3 things? 3 factorial is 6. There are still how many ways? So I'm applying some understanding of PNC here to tell you. Parajumbles are complex. If there are 3 parajumble questions, don't spend more than 1.5 minutes on each parajumble. Why? Because they are theta questions. If they are theta questions, you cannot afford to give 2.5 minutes to each parajumble. You will be taking away time from critical reasoning, para summary, you will be taking away time from RCs. Spend exactly 1.5 minutes on each parajumble and write your answer and move on. How to answer these, I'll also show you how these connectives work. How do we deal with shadow information? What is shadow information? How are the two sentences connected to shadow information? I'll show that to you with examples. Odd sentences in a paragraph. So like in the previous case, you will be usually, now there are 4 or 5 sentences given to us. Out of the 4 sentences or out of the 5 sentences, 4 of them are interlinked. One of them is talking something different. One of them might be introducing a new idea not related to other A, B, C, D, or one of them might be going on a tangential curve. I'm again, let us say, talking about the writing styles of authors. I'm focusing on authors writing about economy, and somewhere I write about philosophy. That is unrelated. So when that odd one is kicked out, the others form a coherent paragraph. What is a coherent paragraph? Where the flow of information is logical and clear. Who do we call a coherent person? What do we call a coherent statement? Which is complete in itself and makes sense when you go from point A to point B. That is what we call a coherent paragraph or a coherent sentence. Should make sense. So again, in odd sentences, they will appear like parajumble. You don't have to rearrange them. You have to find out what information does not fit in the given paragraph. Don't have to rearrange them. Don't worry. Para completion. Now, what was summary? In para summary, we try to capture all the essence of the paragraph. Here, in para completion, what happens is usually the last sentence is deleted. So can I say the last sentence, even if it introduces new information, it should complement what was said earlier. So in para completion, it is perfectly fine to introduce some new information as long as it complements the flow of information before that. ये clear है क्या अपने को? Are we able to understand this? In para computation, something new can be introduced, but not in para summary. You cannot apply inferences here. You can apply inferences in para summary. So again, if you ask me, all the 4 types that we have seen so far, can I say information is in front of me? I don't need to have prior knowledge about it. So you read on the spot, understand on the spot, and answer. That is why nowadays we say having a very good vocab or having or being very strong with grammar does not add to your abilities in CAT. Your grammar skills and vocab skills are not that useful. Yes, vocab to some degree it's still helpful. Grammar though we don't even focus on. CAT. Grammar you will need for exams like again SNAP, CET, NMAT, and sometime in that also questions are asked on grammar. You don't need to know what clause are being used. You don't need to know what conjunctions are there. We'll see. We'll see. What comes before, what comes after, we'll see. I don't have to have knowledge of tenses for that. Present tense, past tense, future tense. So, reading competition, we have talked about this in detail. Questions can be about main idea. Questions can be locate information and drop an answer. The question could be what will the author agree with? The question could be if this is true, if this is true, will it strengthen the passage or argument or weaken the passage or argument? First of all, who can tell me the definition of argument? What is the argument? What is the argument? When we think of argument, we think of people fighting. Yes, that could be argument. In CAT, what do we call argument? What could we call argument? Debate, or in debate you can have arguments. Guys, any complete statement that introduces something that is open to discussion is an argument. A complete sentence that introduces something that is open to discussion is an argument. The fact-based questions, as the name suggests, demands answer on the basis of facts mentioned in the passage. That's the argument. You can strengthen the argument, weaken the argument by bringing in more information. So, what are fact-based questions? You locate the information answer. And this I have recently heard from one student. It's risky. Don't do this in CAT. It does not work in CAT. That I will read first paragraph. I will look at first question. I will read second paragraph. I'll look at again 3 questions. What are you doing? Because let us say in the first part, the author is in support of some theory. In second, he brings in a negative or a contradictory theory. And then there's a question about author's view. Now, will you go for the positive part or the negative part? Because second paragraph has introduced the information now which is negative, you have to go with that. So don't do this. By reading one paragraph, I'll try a couple of questions. Reading second paragraph, I'll try a couple of questions. That is not how CAT works. You have to. Now, this we can debate on. Should I read questions first, then paragraphs? Or should I read paragraphs and then questions? According to you, what makes more sense? If you have already practiced, let us say 100 RCs, I'll say go with this. This is the best approach. Because once you start to read questions, it brings in some bias in your mind. But if you are a beginner, right now you are trying to solve questions, starting to study, I'll say go with the first approach, because you will see where do I need to focus. If there are questions about specific part of this, or if there are references to a particular word, what did the author mean by this phrase? I can try and locate that. So if you are beginning at this stage, have a cursory look. ऊपर से एक बार देख लो what questions are there. If there are too many questions of except, which of the following assumption has the author made except? Can I say author has made 3 assumption and fourth one not? It becomes difficult. So at this stage, reading questions gives you an idea about what is the level of passage. What is the level of questions? At this stage, I'll say for next 1 to 2 months, just look at questions, have a cursory look, and come back to the. So let us read. Look at the sources that you should read from. In last 2 years, I'm sure maybe 3 years, there have been no direct questions from Indian newspapers. Why do we still suggest you to read Indian newspapers? Because we Indians don't have reading habits. These papers are written for whom? Somebody has just woken up, he's about to sip coffee and spend some time. So the language of newspaper is very, very rudimentary, very, very simple. Unless Shashi Tharoor writes a passage or an article, then we are in trouble. So again, Indian newspapers, if you are starting your reading habits, yes, stop reading books, because you will read a 300-page book, you will absolutely enjoy it, love it. There have been no RCs from books. And again, we are not reading to gain knowledge. If you're reading books, are you reading books like History of Philosophy by Will Durant? No. You're reading Alchemist. Ancient history, you're reading what? Animal Farm. What is the use? Don't read books, read articles. Articles are denser. Read content from journals, read content from research papers. So Aeon in absolutely last year, 2023, there was no article from Aeon. 2022, there were maybe 2 or 3 articles in different sets of slot 1, slot 2, slot. There were maybe 2 or 3 articles from Aeon. So the first line that you see is the most dense content you will find online. Aeon, AL Delhi, Project Syndicate, and JSTOR. What is JSTOR? Journal Store. So you will find absolute dense content. Yeah, this should be your first preference. But now there's a flaw. Aeon has an average length of article which is 3,800 to 5,200 words. In CAT, one RC is around 800 words combining questions. So can I say one article is worth maybe four or five or even six RCs? You cannot possibly read a complete article from it. And while you're reading, are you asking yourself about change in tone? Are you focusing on keywords? I'll show you how to read as well. From Economist last year, 2023, slot 2, there were two articles taken as passages. One was about Netflix and its dubbing policy, how that is destroying other cultures. It was part of The Economist. And second one was thrift shopping, how recycled clothes are saving the economy as well as world. So these are money based. Some of these might be paid. If it is a paid web page, paid website, read couple of articles, complete the limit, come back next month. Science Daily, visit this. There was one passage from this, one article from this as a RC last year, 2023, slot 2. So first one, the most dense content. Second list of sources, economy related, money related content. Third, you have science. Fourth, History Channel, Discovery, Net Geography, Smithsonian. In 2022, there were a couple of passages from here, maybe two or three. And then comes newspapers. Newspapers are at the last. The Guardian, there have been multiple times. Questions have been there from Guardian. Wall Street Journal, questions have been there. Washington Post, rarely. The Hindu and Indian Express, not in last 3 to 4 years. Again, why would CAT give me passage that I have never read? Let us say the life cycle of beluga whales and give me questions on that. And I will never read the article even after I become manager, unless I join NetGeo or unless I have a kid who is watching such content. Why would CAT give me such passages? What are they testing with RCs here? They are testing your ability to understand content, comprehend and answer questions based on that. Once you become a manager, you are going to read many different articles, case studies. Maybe you will not find it interesting, but you have to study and form opinion and answer questions based on that. That's what they're testing. In the present moment, can you read something absolutely new and answer? Like there was a set few years back on permafrost. What is permafrost? The layer of ice which has not melted since last ice age, 10,000 years back. This permafrost. Now it is melting. Now because it is melting, new kinds of microbes are being seen in the grass under it. How can this be challenging? Imagine 2 years after this article, we had COVID. That is how the content is curated in CAT. So what you are seeing here are the topics. Read on economy, philosophy, science, astronomy, psychology, politics. Since last 2 years, CAT is avoiding politics as such. Not know why. Religion, they have dabbled into religion, myths, mythology. They have given us articles on those, but CAT is avoiding politics altogether since last two. Some reason. Abstract topics like poem. I'll share with you one poem based RC as well. So this is something from Aeon. Let me show you how to pick articles. Let us hope I have Aeon here with me. Here I have Aeon. So you see, there are some articles and then there are some videos. Don't go for videos. We are not looking to enjoy our time here. Do liberal arts liberate? It is about liberal arts. Yes, you can expect such a thing in CAT. India and indignity. In a country of such extraordinary diversity, UN definition of ingenious does little more than fuel ethnic violence. Again, yes, such questions could be there. Idea has been thrown at you about politics and government. How in India this diversity is leading to violence and all. Alien life is no joke. I do not know what the content is. Astronomy ke upar hai. So if you're looking for diversity, read. For you, I have selected this. Essay on environment. Environment is the buzz topic right now. Emergency action. Could civil disobedience be made morally obligatory in a society on a collision course with climate catastrophe? 9 words I can see in just two sentences. Civil disobedience. अगेन बगावत की बातें हो रही हैं. Is it morally obligatory? That means you have to, you are, I'll say, compelled to perform civil disobedience. So I have selected this article for you. So in this manner, you pick and choose your articles regarding environment, regarding science, tech, psychology. There are archives here as well. You can go to this and read based upon your choice. There's an option for categories as well somewhere on the web page. Search page. This is the one I've selected for you. That emergency action one I've selected for you. How to read, I'm going to show you guys. So again, this was around 4,400 words article. Are you going to get such a large content in exam? No. The CAT setter will pick couple of paragraphs, edit it somewhere, and then set questions for you. They don't give you the whole article there. So how to read, what things to note, observe. One fine day in 2015, near where I lived in Norwich, I was delivering leaflets for Green Party. Noticing on my way to the deathly state of gardens in the area. This one scattered with rubbish. This one manicured to death with weed killer. This one and the next one paved over for grass. This one with a dead fridge standing forlorn on the grass. When these words flashed into my mind, unbidden, this civilization is finished. When I read from here to here, did I stop in between? I saw a couple of difficult words, but I did not stop to find their meaning because in CAT, you have to find contextual meaning. Vocabulary should be good. How to work on vocabulary, we'll talk about. Get into the habit of reading from point A to point B without stopping. Now, while reading, I'll again look at it from, or in a cursory when I look at it. This person is already delivering leaflets. Can I say he's an activist? Who delivers a leaflet? Either a marketing fellow or a activist. Activist for whom? Green Party. And while he returns, he feels there's a deathly state of gardens. So can I say he's comparing different kinds of gardens and he's not happy? Can I say this person is bordering angry? What he sees that there is rubbish scattered. In one place there is a fridge standing. I don't know what forlorn is. I don't know what manicured is. I do not need to know meaning of every word to understand this person is unhappy about the state of gardens in his area. If I know the meaning of word unbidden, what is unbidden? When you bid for something, you want something to happen. Now he is looking at those gardens and one thought comes to his mind without realizing that civilization is finished. Can I say it's extreme negative thought to have? He is saying dunya khatam hai idhar. By looking at what? Gardens. He's maybe overreacting. I do not. Maybe I do not. I don't want to form opinion based upon one paragraph. For some time afterwards, I was in a state of shock. After having this thought, he is still in the state of shock. But being a wannabe public intellectual, after a few weeks, I did what half decent intellectual would do. Let me stop here. Is he being positive about himself or negative about himself? But being a wannabe public intellectual, who are wannabe people who want to fit in, people who wear cool clothes to be like Ranveer are wannabe people. He wants to fit in. He does not fit in with whom? Intellectuals. So he does not have very high opinion about himself. Can I say that so far? Yes. So are you analyzing in this manner while reading passages? If not, you're wasting time. Now here, I started writing about it. What is he writing about? His state of shock. The state of shock he is in, he is writing about that. What is he in shock about? Civilization is finished. So maybe he's writing about that. The piece I wrote, I considered at first too incendiary. We'll come back to that. To be published. To publish. When friends and colleagues persuaded me to go ahead, saying that this was the kind of authentic writing they had never encountered from me before. Can I say that means he has been writing earlier as well? but he has written something beautiful, but he feels aag lag jayega. Incendiary is something which is provocative, something which could lead to fights or riots. So having that knowledge did help me, but he has been writing earlier as well. Can I say that means his earlier work was derivative? What is derivative work? Based upon something else. What is this work? The one he has written is more, what is it? More authentic. This is the kind of having a spark moment. मेरे को चमका मैं लिखूंगा. Earlier he used to take content probably. Again, I am forming my own opinions here. Let's read further. At the length for the first time ever, I published under a pseudonym. Pseudonym, not his own name, because he feels this could lead to fight. This could lead to maybe some kind of threats. So he writes under a different name. After remarkably supportive feedback, I started giving talks with the title Civilization is Finished, same thing that he thought that day. It seemed that people loved the breath of fresh air someone was calling it. When you call something, you call a spade a spade. जो है सो है, देख ले, यही है. So people were not getting that kind of content earlier. Now they are getting, so they are enjoying that breath of fresh air. People want to eat into what he is saying. People want to believe him what he is saying. But there was still something missing. I did not have a plan. I could see no way for humanity to avoid collapse without rapidly transforming the civilization into something very different. So even though he has come up with a thought, he has no action plan. How is he going to stop gardens from getting ruined? This is what it all started. Yes, there's no reference about trees being cut, oil being used. All this comes to his mind because of those gardens. At this stage, he does not have action plan to maybe reverse global warming, maybe avoid the collapse of civilization. Avoid the collapse of civilization. What should you actually do about that? Now, this is continuation of that. During 3 years after my epiphany that thought he had, I had found that my words on the topic were achieving some resonance. Resonance is having same kind of thought. So more and more people are thinking on the same line as him. Yet lacking anything much like a plan, I still felt directionless, unsatisfied, even at times nearly hopeless. He is still in the negative state of mind. He still feels there is no hope for the world to survive. So when he is getting resonance from other, can I say his idea is mainstream? Is his idea mainstream at this stage? No. Mainstream is known to all, accepted by all. He is getting some resonance. So when somebody asks you about his idea, it is still not mainstream. That is how questions are set. One of the options will say, or the question will be, how do you see his idea? One option will say it is a mainstream idea. It is not. It is getting some resonance. Some people are coming to him and say, "Ha, bhaiya, we believe you." Not all. That all changed when I heard about an embryonic organization that was seeking to gear up to launch. मेरे को नहीं पता what is embryonic. Forget that. Gearing up to launch extinction rebellion, something. Their analysis was similar to mine. So there are like-minded people. They are going to form a political party and find elections in Delhi. Maybe not. Maybe not. Just kidding. Don't make it political. Cat is avoiding. We should do. Some of their leaders had heard or read some of my stuff, but there was one big difference. They had action plan. I threw myself into XR, helped them launch, became a strategist and spokesperson. Can I say before he was there was no XR in the market? Now there is. He has helped them launch, became a strategist and spokesperson, as well as running the political liaisons effort. What is liaison? Coordinating with, like you have to clean Mutha River in Pune. You have to deal with PCMC. You have to deal with somebody else in the irrigation department. So you have to deal with political people. That is liaison effort. After successful April 2019, to see how fast this has happened. When was this? 15. So 3 years in between. Now 2019. So 4 years have gone. Rebellion forced a national conversation. So people are starting. Now the idea has become mainstream. When did the idea become mainstream? April 2019. There's a national discussion. I was part of the team that met with Michael Gove, some person, then Environment Secretary. He is the Environment Secretary. And other members of UK Conservative government through May 2019, the plan had worked. XR accomplished something extraordinary, unprecedented. I will never regret being part of so on so on. So there are again more 2000 words. I'm stopping here. So I've shown you what to read, how to read. Once you're done with reading, once you have formed your opinions, go back and collect words. Maintain a notebook, a small size notebook, or maybe if you are using app like OneNote, or you're using app like, let us say, um, you can use Task app as well, but don't do that. Evernote, they can synchronize over different devices. So you find a good word. Right now you are traveling, you are in office, you are somewhere. You simply put the word there, go back home, look at the dictionary meaning, and put it there. So you can synchronize and work in this manner. Word lists like word power made easy or 60 days super vocabulary do not work in CAT nowadays. You have to understand the contextual meaning by reading the passage. Create your own vocabulary. Maybe you have a book like I've given you guys one book, each Sharma ji ka book. It has three different frequencies of words. Take a pencil, read a word. If you know the meaning, cross it off. Read a word. If you know the meaning, cross it off. If you see the word is new, copy it down in your own word list. Try to use it. Try to write a application of the word. That is how you develop vocabulary. That is how you develop reading skills. Stop reading books which are available on the roadside or which are even bestsellers. So this is from Project Syndicate. I've simply taken a clipping. What kind of article should you read? Musk has made Tesla a meme stock. Why non-compete clause should be bad? Can I say it is about economics? When you say non-compete, a employee leaving a company cannot work somewhere else. An employee already working in a company cannot work on a parallel job. They want to remove that clause. Can I say this sounds humanitarian as well? And even Indian companies have been saying this. Well, they have been saying the reverse. But again, some context is there. So this is the kind of content you should pick and read. Project Syndicate has lots of space, lots of different kind of content. There's here as well. The popular decimation of Indian democracy. What is decimation? Destruction. Decimation is to make it 1/10. Decimate, make it 1/10. So how Indian economy is reducing to 1/10. So some opinion has been shared here. Again, by whom? Look at this. By whom? Rashid Tharoor. You must read this. You should read this. Now, global elections in the shadow of neoliberalism. Isms, articles containing isms you should read. Conservatism, liberalism, wokeism. Isms is there, read. This is for Project Syndicate. The last one was from Aeon. Again, Project Syndicate. Again, see, too much economics is there. Culture. Our freedom depends upon our freedom of press. Read something like this. America's frustrating search for a soft economic landing. When you say economic landing, they are in turmoil. They are looking for a landing which will not hurt them. Soft economic landing. Read such articles. You cannot read everything from everywhere. Once you read, maybe maintain an Excel sheet, and in that Excel sheet, maintain where was the article taken from, what was the link, and what was the particular topic. I think 2 days back I shared with you 3 articles, yes, from different sources. That is what you should do. All different sources, read from there. More and more articles are heading towards research papers and journals in CAT. The general articles, general books have gone, are entirely gone. You will never come across, probably never come across Lord of the Rings passage or paragraphs from such sources. Read these things. So let us try this. When we have specific lectures on para summary, para jumbles, odd one out, we will have more structured theory. That is moving more and more towards presence of mind. Read it now in front of us, try and answer. Most of the questions that I'll be giving you are from actual CAT. Let us say you are solving from whatever book or source you have at this stage. You're learning method X, method Y, method Z, and it does not work in CAT. It should be reversed. You learn the method XYZ from CAT questions and apply on the content you have. It must work because ultimately you're trying to clear CAT. So more and more questions that I'll cater to you will be from CAT, ZAT. Many times content from ZAT in terms of verbal is still higher level than CAT. Paragraph is given below from which the last sentence has been deleted. Last sentence has been deleted. From the given options, choose one that completes the paragraph in the most appropriate way. Whenever somebody writes a paragraph, they are trying to convey some idea to you. That is what we call main idea. Once a author reaches a main idea, then he tries to write down connecting information based upon the language structure, based upon the words he knows, she knows. That is the connectivity in the paragraph. Also called the unity in the paragraph, how the information flows. If you focus on these two things, what is the main idea, how the information flows, you should have no problem in picking the last line. In exam, you are not going to be able to underline things. So underlining should happen in your mind, or maybe you can scribble by the side the flow of information or some specific word that you see. Camera phones, a gimmick and a luxury few years ago, have become ubiquitous. I have no idea what this word means. What do you call a gimmick? What do you call a luxury, which is not very common? So first line is telling me camera phones were not very common earlier. They have become ubiquitous. So tell me what ubiquitous should mean. Common. They have become common. Listen to this. Camera phones, comma, a gimmick and a luxury few years ago. What is a gimmick? Stunt you pull. Dikhawa you do is a gimmick. What is a luxury? Paisa wala people can afford. So something which was not very common has become common. That is what the first sentence says. Ubiquitous, I don't know the exact meaning, but I can understand from the context here. The International Telecommunication Union estimates that 4.6 billion mobile phones are in use at the moment. Of those, more than a billion are equipped with cameras. Can I say 1 out of 5, 20% have cameras? 4.6 is 5 billion. 1 out of 5 have cameras. According to Tom Hodgson, I don't even need to pronounce his name, an analyst at some place, a market research firm. So they are telling you everything about the company itself. What is that company? Market research company based in Mountain View. पता नहीं क्यों बता रहे. What is the use of all this? In California. Dr. Hodgson estimates that some 800 million camera phones will be sold this year. Can I say I had 1 billion phones earlier? I am going to add 800 million. I am almost doubling the market cap. That gives me idea. It is true relevant. There are too many people buying camera phones now. Yet, most of the photos taken will be grainy. Can I say, up till this point yet, he was hopeful, he was positive about what? Camera phones. As soon as he says yet, can I say he will start saying negative things now? Yet, most of the photos taken with these phones will be grainy and of low resolution. Can I say he's talking about a problem? Fine for capturing the essence of the moment of a moment to send to friends and family. And the purpose is not you are going into enter a photography competition. You're going to take a photo, send it to friends. So you're going to show it off to somebody. It will capture the moment. You are dancing somewhere, you're looking at a hillside, but it will not be high definition. But again, no good frame no good enough to frame on the wall. Can I say the same thing? खराब photo लिया तूने. You cannot put it on a wall to show somebody. The reason is that both camera and the lens have to be small because phone is held in a hand. You cannot have that zoom focus you have with wildlife photography. You can hold it in your hand. Maybe the article was written few years back to be small to fit with all other gubbins. I have no idea what gubbins are. Can I say maybe talk about other features? Okay. So what have I understood? Phones 4.6 billion were there. Next year 800 million phones will be bought, and they'll be mostly camera phones. Yes, but camera is low quality. The problem is you cannot fit it in your hand. There are other things as well. I'm looking for something that will complete this. Let us read. Phone cameras with up to 5 megapixel have become available, but Envisage hopes to leap to 12 megapixel. So far, have we talked about megapixel anywhere? No. And it says अब 5 से 12 megapixel आएगा. Can I say he's being positive here? You had a yet here. You had a yet here. After it, everything must be negative. A is gone. A is gone. After it, you have not given me a twist in sentence. If there was however, but again, we'll see. So A is talking about positive things. The size of camera is increasing. Photo will be clear. No. In a typical camera phone, the image is focused by lens on a photosensitive silicon chip. Did we study mechanism of photography anywhere? Useless. Of no use. A typical camera phone is equipped with 1 or 2 megapixel silicon based camera chip that is about 8 mm across. Can I say this is talking about limitation of the camera? And limitation of camera is in continuation with the grainy image, not having high definition, sending to family, not having frame. 1 to 2 megapixel is talking about the limitation of the phone and is in continuation with negativity. 1 to 2 megapixel continues this. So I feel C should be the answer. Let us read the D1. After all, one buys a phone not for camera alone. Camera is merely other feature. Understand? Can I say the entire passage? The subject of the discussion is camera. In the last line, can you say camera to kaam ka hi nahi hai? Then why are we doing all the bakwas? He is gone. And what is the answer? Go on, go on, go on. There are other features, but still, out of the 8 lines, can I say 7 are about camera? And again, why are 800 million people going to buy camera phone? For camera. NC. That is just one additional information. See, the size is small. I cannot fit a large camera. I have to fit other things. But again, still the discussion is I cannot fit a larger camera because of other things. So what is the focus? Larger camera. Again, is the Dr. Hodgson writing the passage? No. Somebody else is bringing him in the picture. Who is writing the passage? You do not know. And again, the second one is talking about the method of photography. We have not seen method of photography anywhere. We, in a typical camera phone, the image is focused by lens onto photosensitive silicon chip. So can I say high density camera will have high sensitive photo? That supports the statement above. I'm looking for after it. I'm looking for negative information. Here is the continuation. Again, when you are completing a paragraph, you can bring in something new, but don't contradict the previous statements. Continue the same flow. Again, if there was a sentence starting with however, if there was an option starting with however, so I can introduce new information saying now the phones are good. I can go with A. If one of the options that I say A started with however, now phones are coming with so and so and so and so on. So far, the only discussion has been on the limitation of camera, the poor quality of photographs. You cannot show it to your friends, or maybe you can show it to your friend, but you cannot frame it. Limitations of the camera. Right. Again, less lines might also mean denser content. in terms of grammar and phrasing of sentence. Whatever verbal questions you are solving at home, wherever you are, make sure there is a well or detailed explanation at that. Otherwise, a lot of people say, "No, तो कुछ भी हो सकता था." No, you need to be convinced with the answer before you move to the next one, or leave it for the time being and come back and get convinced. Solution must convince you. A paragraph is given below from which the last sentence has been deleted. From the given options, choose the one that completes the paragraph in most appropriate way. Can I say same set of questions? Last line has been taken away. While you're reading in your rough page, see, you cannot underline on the screen like me, you cannot highlight on the screen. You have to write something on the rough page. You have to write a few things. पे बनाना the class sheet. A paragraph has been given below. Paragraph has to have a main idea. Then author will try to add sentences that make complete sense. And the question setter has removed the last line. So you must continue the same thought process as the author and finish the paragraph. You can introduce something new, but it should not be absolutely wildly new. The answer to these questions about reality. Does this make you feel this paragraph was taken from middle of article? What questions? To answer these questions. What questions? I don't know. About what? About reality. The answer to these questions about reality were many. That means there are too many answers. There are already answers. The questions are not solvable. What are the questions about? Reality. And there are already answers about it. But in Germany, they tend to posit the idea of an evolving harmony, a movement toward equilibrium between two poles of an objective reality and subjective human consciousness. मेरे को कुछ नहीं समझा क्या बोल रहा है ये. Can I say there are too many answers right now, and we are talking about whom? We are talking about Germans. And there says but. Can I say there are too many answers, but Germans are not happy? What have they created? They have created two poles. They have tried to categorize answers in two forms. Can I say that? But in Germany, they tended to posit the idea of evolving harmony based upon what poles? Objective reality, objective reality, and what? And what? Human consciousness. So they are trying to categorize answers in two categories: objective reality or human consciousness. The work by somebody else, and somebody else was categorized by this spirit of willingness to see reality in an explicable. What is inexplicable? Something that cannot be explained. So how are these three people seeing reality? They are seeing reality as something that can be explained. Do we agree on this? They are willing to see the reality as something that can be explained. Idealized light, whereas some person named Hauptmann, the consummate naturalist. Can I say so far if they are able to explain reality, when you use whereas, you're going to change the tone. These people were able to explain reality, and there comes a new fellow who says something else. Who is he? He is a naturalist. I have no idea what naturalist is. He rejects all the attempts to embellish reality. He says you cannot say anything about reality or categorize reality. Other three are saying you can categorize. And there's a new fellow who says you cannot. There is a yoga. Like other naturalists, there are other people also. There are other people who have the same thought. You cannot rationalize or explain reality. He adopted a critical position under the banner of truth. Yes, Satya, this is true. towards hypocrisy and convention and under the banner of modernity towards the fashion of historical themes and subjects within the literature. Last का मेरे को भी नहीं समझा, I'll read again. Like other naturalists, he adopted critical position under the banner of truth, towards hypocrisy and convention and under the banner of modernity. So what does he believe in? He believes in truth. He believes in modernity. ठीक है. Others will not. Towards fashion for historical themes and subjects within literature. So they are all talking about what? They are all talking about literature. Can I say authors talk about literature? Authors, poets, philosophers talk about literature. Reality के बारे में कौन बात करेगा? Philosophers, poets maybe. Let us see. It is this dichotomy, bifurcation into that should be considered in evaluating these German prize winners' works. Dichotomy, dividing in two. And thus there exists a dichotomy between the idealized and the naturalistic view of beauty. Is a description of beauty anywhere? Have they talked about beauty anywhere in the entire passage? They are talking about harmony, they are talking about equilibrium, they are talking about reality. Discussion of beauty? This brings in a new thing altogether. It says the discussion is about beauty. No. Equally important is that the industrial revolution. Was they talk about revolution anywhere? They're also industrial. What are they talking about? Literature. Literature के बारे में क्यों बात करेगा industrialist? Again gone. This gave rise to the crisis within educated bourgeoism. क्या होता है ये? Is it talking about educated people here? No. And again, a new person talks about. So far, I know that every argument about harmony, reality has been divided in two parts. People who are realist, people who are naturalist. Realists are trying to define reality. Naturalists are saying you cannot. They believe in truth. Can I say that two schools of thought? That is what the first one says. You should look at both schools of thoughts, and these people are who? These people are prize winners. Which one? Let's see. There is no talk about industrial revolution anywhere. There is no talk about educated people above in the paragraph. Now, second one seems a little closer to the answer. Second option says, and thus there existed a dichotomy between the idealized and naturalistic view. It does. There are two views between naturalistic and idealized. But are they about beauty or reality? Reality. That word beauty has been edited and that makes it honor. The answer option is. This is how you approach beta critical reasoning. Critically thinking. And now when you guys go home, find the meaning of the word embellish, find the meaning of the word Vargya, I can't even pronounce that word, dichotomy. Go and study who are naturalists. Who are naturalists? Study that. So once you come across a passage, you see something new, you get the answer. Don't leave it there. Learn from it. You can easily find 4 or 5 new words. Maybe if you have some time, search that name, Mommsen or Eucken or Hayes, and see what the philosophy is. Read a few lines. Don't remember, just read. Try this. The paragraph is given below, from which the last sentence has been deleted. So same thing, you complete the paragraph the best way possible. Now again, can I say you can find previous year questions at 10 different websites, maybe 50 different blogs. The idea is how to solve them logically. Questions भरे पड़े market में. How to solve quant, LRDI, verbal questions logically. with best methods available. That is the idea of this session. In the last line, do not contradict the whole passage. Introduce something new, but within the bounds. Don't introduce something that is completely tangential, goes off the track. Does it make you feel this passage has been taken from a book review? Whose book? No, no, no. Whose book review is this? Adiga, Arvind Adiga. If I'm not mistaken, uh, what is the name of the author of White Tiger? No, don't search. Again, outside knowledge is not needed. बाद में कर लें. There is much to comment in this novel. Again, somewhere taken from in between. Which novel I do not know. There is much to comment means you can talk good things about the novel. The novel is good. How is it good? A witty parable of India's changing society, yet there is much to ponder. Can I say it started with a positive note after it went on to a negative? You have much to ponder. See, you have said something that this flask is very good, yet I have to think about use of plastic. So here, what is it talking about? Witty parable means it is written in a very comic way, in a comedic way or comic way. It is written about changing India society or changes in India society. But there is much to ponder. The scales have fallen from the eyes of some Indian writers. When scales are fallen, like we say, parda fash hona or disillusion ho jana. When scales have fallen, they have opened up to new reality. They have gained new knowledge. Scales have fallen means they had some belief system that is washed away, that is gone now. The scales have fallen from the eyes of some Indian writers and writers, many either living abroad or educated there like Adiga. So there are people who are not in India, they are outside India, they have their own opinions, and their opinions are discarded now. They have come to new realization. The home country is invariably presented as a place of brutal injustice. These authors who are living outside India, they used to show India in bad light. They used to show there is brutal injustice, like rich is killing poor or Jamidar is exploiting the poor farmer, something of that sort. Sordid corruption. This was their view, and it is falling down. The view is coming down. One in which the poor are always dispossessed and victimized by their old age enemy, who? The rich. So they are very biased Kader Khan type of image of India or Mother India kind of image of India, of whom people who live outside. The characters at the colorful extremities of society are Dickensian. Charles Dickens, there's a fellow who wrote about inequality in societies of UK. You don't need to know this. So he wrote about inequalities, and these people are also doing the same thing for India now. Please, I do not know who that fellow is. Charles Dickens, Great Expectations, and so on and so forth. Now, adrift in a country that is lurching rapidly towards bland-minded middle-class normality. So, can I say poor and rich, they are very far apart. Where is the country heading? The country is heading towards middle class. So let us recap. Adiga has written some book. That book is very witty, very nicely written. It is talking about change in Indian society. It is talking about change. Changes are happening, but there is still some change to be done. There is still some thought to be given. People like Adiga who have studied outside or live outside India but are Indians, they have this thought that India is very, we'll say, divided into categories: extreme rich and extreme poor, and rich are exploiting poor. These thoughts are being washed away. And where is India heading? To the middle class. Yeah. The country is drifting towards or lurching rapidly towards a bland middle class. Again, is it a positive thing to say bland? The juice was very bland. Like, taste nahi tha. Bland. Still, let us read. I am trying to what? I am trying to complete the paragraph in the most appropriate way. My hunch is that this is fundamentally an outsider's view and a superficial one. We'll come back to this. There are so many alternative Indias, uncontacted, unheard, which Adiga can never hope to explore. Think carefully. Here it says, there are other authors from whose eyes these things are going away, who are living abroad or educated like Adiga. Adiga was educated abroad. Is he living abroad? So if he is not living abroad, can he not come back to India or stay in India and explore something? What does sentence say? Right now there are two views: extremely poor, extremely rich. But the option B says there are alternative Indias, which these guys have not seen. Who? These authors. And who is the person being named or defamed? Adiga. Adiga can never hope to explore. Why not? He can come to and explore. Option B is gone. Can I say option B is too critical about Adiga only? There are other authors as well. While this completed. And again, we will come to this. Adiga is a genius of his age who has written a path-breaking book. What is a path-breaking book? ऐसा पहले लिखा ही नहीं. But there have been written books earlier as well about India in a different tone, in a different manner. But is this book path breaking? Is he writing Wings of Fire like Kalam Saab? No, it's not path breaking. So it looks like to me answer is A or D. Presenting the home country as poverty stricken place has become means of getting cheap popularity. Again, is it talking about authors being popular here, gaining fame? No. Now see, there is much to comment about the novel. Can I say a person has read the novel and writing a review? A person is giving his own opinion. My hunch is this, that these ways of writing about India are views of outsiders or they are superficial. They have not witnessed India, or at least not the new India. So answer option one is the best fit because a person has read novels and is giving his opinion. And throughout the passage he is saying the same thing. इनको पता नहीं इंडिया में क्या चल रहा है. Answer option A completes everything. Option B is praising Adiga to a very large extent. Adiga has been spoken about in two places. His book is witty. It is nice book, not path breaking. And Adiga has studied outside India. That's all. Last one is like uh, a right-wing fellow throwing his opinion on these authors. By showing India as a poor country, they are gaining popularity. Now we have come to Parajans. Before 20, if I'm not mistaken, 2019, theta questions were introduced. Since 2019, parajumbles have been theta. You don't have options. Before 2019, there used to be options. There could be 5 sentences, A, B, C, D, E. There could be 6 sentences. In 6 sentences, first and last are always in the right place. You have to arrange in between. Nowadays, since 2020, there have been exactly 4 sentence based parajumbles. So I've told you a few minutes back, 4 sentences logically can be arranged in 24 factorial ways. 4 factorial ways, which is 24. 4 factors, 24 ways. So with options, you can still work with matched pair. You can still work with shadow sentences, but without options, little difficult. I'll show you how to work with this. So do you guys want to try, or should I try and solve it for you? Go on, try. Look for pronouns. Look for this. Look for that. Look for indirect references. There will be indirect references, something which is already said. Usually the first sentence introduces the idea or sets the tone for paragraph. So if you can find the first sentence, your 60% job is done. You can find one matched pair, your 30% job is done. How many sentences do we have? 5. Shadow repetition is also a good way of relating sentences, finding matched pairs. when we cover the session on parajumbles, it's an introductory session here. I'll show you 5, 6 different types of looking for patterns. It could be cause effect, it could be problem, then a solution, it could be a new concept, then explanation with examples. It could be, let us say, some data has been given, you are negating that with however, whatever comes after, however, should change the tone, whatever comes after yet, but should change the tone. If I say henceforth, from now on, it should be a continuation of same thought process. All these things we will see in a session on paradigms. The introduction to VARC. You and I are not going to master VARC in one session. Anyone has an answer? B Bombay, B Bombay, C Calcutta. Let us read. Let us read. Let us read. A sentence A. To be culturally literate is to possess basic information needed to thrive in modern world. But look, read it. Nor is it confined to one social class, quite the contrary. Can I say when you say nor is it, you're talking about negative about something? Can you start a paragraph by talking negative about idea? So B will never be a starting sentence. C. It is by no means. Arey by who is it? It is who. It is who. So I'm saying B and C can never be the opening sentences. Cultural literacy constitutes the only sure avenue of opportunity for disadvantaged children, the only reliable way of combating social determinism that now condemns them. Condemns who? The children. Who children? Who are disadvantaged, who are poor, who do not have resources. So it says with cultural literacy, they can combat all this. Social determinism. Determinism, dividing them, segregating them. So they can overcome this with cultural literacy. Let us see further. The breadth of that information is great, extending over the major domain of human activity from sports to science. Now, what is shadow information here? What is the shadow connection here? Do you see? To be culturally literate is to possess basic information. Let's talk about information here. Whereas do you have use of information? The breadth of that information is great. Which information? Cultural information. Can I say in a manner, A and E are forming a are in a manner talking about the same thing? Basic information. Read further. Extending over major domains of human activity from sports and science. So it gives me idea. Wherever I will have A, it will be accompanied by. Is it possible E comes before? Do you see here this word that? When you say that information, can I say information was given earlier? If the information was given earlier, can I say they are all talking about cultural literacy? If a child has cultural literacy, and even if the person is disadvantaged, he can overcome other things. Can I say A and E will definitely come after D? How much after I cannot say. So what becomes the opening sentence? Because look at this, either A or D are the opening sentences. So now I have narrowed down. I'm sure that D must be my opening sentence. So now here this could be my answer or this could be my answer. Go on, try. Can I say when you say nor is it is by no means confined to culture narrowly understood as the acquaintance with the arts. This sentence is again changing the tone. Yes, no. So here B, nor is it confined to social class. Quite the contrary. B and C both are changing the tone. A and D are the matched pair. A and D are the matched pair. So answer is either B or the answer is B. Look for more connecting information. C and B is a matched pair. It is by no means confined to a culture pair. Yes, because it says it is by no means and nor is it. Like, let us say some politician named Ramesh, he is by no means a grand chess master, nor is he a good politician. So B and C are also are matched pair. So can I say B will come after C? Which answer option has B after C? D in the beginning and B after C. A is definitely matched. Answer option D, because B and C are matched. I'm not able to find a sequence between them, but A and D are at the end always. So this will be the answer. I'll confirm the answer at the end, don't worry. Answer option D. It talks about cultural literacy is the only way to bring these children out of the poor living conditions which they have been condemned. Then it says it is by no means just the cultural literacy. It also includes art, understanding of arts, and social class as well. Answer option D makes sense. The breadth of this information is great, extending over major domains of human activity. Now, this information could also link to cultural literacy. Yes, D and B are the only two options which are very closely related. A, we'll come back to this, we'll come to this. Answer is either B or D, we'll come back to this. Happens in CAD also, it will happen. If you have narrowed down two options out of four, mark anything and move on. You still have 50% chance of being correct. Don't skip it. आपने 2 मिनट से ऊपर दे दिया है, mark one and move on. We'll come back to this. Don't worry. These are CAD questions, so I have answers. Guys, because B we were saying cultural literacy, E we were saying this information, yes. D and D could also be matched. You can see this is roughly 120 words, dense information, and sentences are jumbled. 5 sentences here. The celebrations of economic recovery in Washington may be as premature as that mission accomplished banner hung on USS Abraham Lincoln to hail the end of Iraq War. So some celebrations are going on about what? About economic recovery. And they are premature. They are premature. Can I say that means they are celebrating too early? Before winning the race, they are celebrating. That puts the celebration in a negative tone or negative view. That tells me US started celebrating that the war in Iraq is over before it was over. So can I say it is giving an example? Can I say example should be given after a theory has been given to you? A is never a starting sentence. You give examples once you put a theory in front. Meanwhile, in the real world, the struggles of families and communities continue unabated. Unabated means without any ending. They continue. Can a paragraph start with meanwhile? Can I say when you say meanwhile, earlier you were saying something different, and when you say meanwhile, you are saying something different. The sentence before and after should contradict. Can I say they are struggling? It's a negative point of view, so it should be positive before. So what comes before B must be a positive piece of information. Meanwhile, in the real world, the struggles of families and communities continue unabated. Meanwhile, it's a negative information that families are struggling. So before that, it should be positive information. Washington responded to the favorable turn in economic news with enthusiasm. So can I say there must be a news before this? Because they are very happy about some news. What news? Economic news. There must be economic news before C. Ah, nahin. Let's read that. The celebrations and high fives up and down Pennsylvania Avenue are not to be found beyond the Beltway. It says people are celebrating in every place in Pennsylvania Avenue, but not outside. It's talking about a small part of the country and not the entire nation. So the celebrations are not that common or not everybody knows about it. When the third quarter GDP showed a growth of 7.2% and monthly unemployment rate dipped to 6%, euphoria gripped the US capital. Can I say this is the news everyone is celebrating and talking about? So E becomes your opening sentence. So answer is either C or D. These two are gone. In both, what do we have? We have EC. What is EC? Let's just read that part. So right now they have heard that our GDP is growing 7.2, unemployment is down by 6%. They are happy. Washington responded favorably with enthusiasm. So C is done. Now we have ABD. Now do you remember before B they should positive news? B is meanwhile. Meanwhile the families are suffering. So before B what do we have? A. Before B what do we have? C. C is the positive news that Washington is celebrating. Let us read that part. B. Meanwhile, in the real world, and so on, so on, so on, they are suffering. Here, what does it say? They celebrated economic recovery a little too early. Is it a positive thing? They celebrated the economic recovery little early, premature, like they had done earlier. So, can A be before B? No, this is gone. Your answer is, can I say in a manner, the sentence A is giving to me a very specific example. Guys, this is called focusing in on something. A general theory has been given and you are reaching down and focusing on something specific. Like if I say, I pass general statement about reduction in corruption in India, I write three, four more things about this, and then I finally give you example how. I focus on a specific region of Kerala where I conducted a survey and so on so on. So usually examples come towards then, not at the beginning. This is a very unique and specific example. Can I say I am moving from general to specific by giving this example? Usually specific information comes at the end. A comes at the end. I focused on B. B tells me that there should be shift in tone. B talks about negativity. So before this, there should be positivity. Answer option is D, Delhi. So yes, this kind of work goes into creating parajumble questions or answering parajumble questions. If you can do this in 2 minutes, 1.5 minute in exam, go for it. This is the ancient example. Sentence 1 is in its right position, 6 is in its right position. You have to work on A, B, C, D to rearrange them. Looking for the opening sentence is a good idea. If a sentence opens, it does not need any previous knowledge, it does not need any support from other sentences. Other sentences get support from the opening statement. In the previous case, the opening sentence was, or statement was, the country is doing fabulously. And based upon that, the country is celebrating, the celebration is limited. Meanwhile, there is poverty somewhere, and so on, so on. So other sentences are based upon the opening statement. Opening statement does not depend upon other sentences. A thorough knowledge of path or course to be followed is essential for achieving success. Can I say a very general statement? If you want to succeed, you must follow a well-defined path. That is what the sentence says. A thorough knowledge of path or course to be followed is essential for achieving success. Then read the last one because it is in the right place. What does the last one say? The individuality of each employee must be respected. Every employee must be seen as an individual. Can I say I need to respect their feelings? I need to respect their thought processes? Yes. How do you respect a person as an individual? You give them their space. You respect their thought. You respect them as an individual. Seniors must show the path clearly laying down the precise expectations of management in the terms of job description, key result areas, and personal targets. We'll come back to this. They should also light the path by personal example. Can I say the sentence is about, see, somebody is new to the company, you're telling them how to grow in the company. Who will tell them to grow? Seniors. Who is this about? Who is they here? They should light the path. You are in a dark, somebody is leading you with a torch. So they should light the path by personal example. So who are they? They are again seniors. So B will come after A. Advice tendered or help offered must be objectively evaluated for its effectiveness in achieving the desired goal. Who will give you the advice? Seniors. First sentence says there should be a very clear path. Then I am talking about seniors laying down the path, telling you what to do, what are the key areas, and so on. So A seems continuation of one. B and C will come back. A display of arrogance and false sense of self-worth in order to belittle those who come to help you prove dysfunctional. अलग ही बातें कर रहा है ना ये. You must not be arrogant. You must not have false sense of self-worth. You must not belittle those who come to help you. I don't see D fitting anywhere near A, B, or C. Can I say A, B, and C look interlinked? A senior should show you the path. They should lead you down the right path. They should give you advice, and that advice must be evaluated. सही advice है या नहीं, काम का है या नहीं, must be evaluated based upon its effectiveness. So A, B, and C directly seem like a bunch. Which of the answer options have A, B, and C? D is talking something different. I'm not even sure. D fits with the passage. A display of arrogance and false sense of self-worth in order to belittle those who come to help you should prove or to help to dysfunctional. No idea even how is it linked. The question could very well be kick out the odd sentence. I'll kick out the D. It's not even fit in. But ABC fit in perfectly. The sequence. This was prehistoric era when there used to be 6 sentences. What is this? 4 sentences are given below, labeled A, B, C, and D. Of these, 3 sentences need to be arranged in a logical order to form a coherent paragraph. Okay. From the given option, choose the one that does not fit the sequence. Do you have to actually complete the sequence? No. They could be related. You have to kick out one of them that is not related or is not connected to the others. Again, once you read all 4, think of a main idea. What is the main idea here? What is the author trying to talk about here? Then you can try and reframe these sentences to form a coherent paragraph or a paragraph that makes sense, a continuous or a sensible paragraph. Called odd one out. In this, you do not try to sequence them. Don't even try to sequence. There's no need for that. Option B. B. According to Amnesty International in August 2012, despite, when do you use word despite? When do you use word despite? बोलने के बाद भी. If I told the person not to play with water bottle, despite the warning he played. So despite, that is even after saying, despite the failures of Mexican authorities to meet human rights conditions set by US Congress as a part of Mirada initiative, the US State Department recommended that Congress release the 15% of funds to the subject to the conditions. What did I observe? Amnesty International is warning US authorities, do not release funds. Why don't release funds? Because Mexicans are not fulfilling the human rights conditions. Even after warnings, what did the US Department do? They released 15% funds. Now, what are the human rights here? What are the conditions? You not. The Americans must follow progressive lead of countries such as Uruguay and Bolivia in exploring alternatives to military response to war on drugs, which has been an unmitigated failure of violence, corruption, and oppression. I do not know if these countries are linked to Mexico or amnesty, but it says military response. Military response. America must follow the example of other two. In what way? To fight drugs and to fight violence, corruption, and oppression. Let us see. It is undeniable that US dishes out an extravagant amount of military aid to Mexico with a scandalous lack of oversight and how it is used. Can I say this talks about the same thing? Oversight means being able to see paisa kidhar ja raha hai. This one says paisa kidhar ja raha hai, you do not know. You do not know, or the Mexican authorities are not submitting to human rights reports. So can I say definitely A and C are related? B, I do not know, because it also talks about Mexico. Here it talks about military aid. We'll see. Here it talks about money. Here it talks about money. Here it talks about military aid. D. This aid, अरे कौन सा aid? The one you are giving may have since been spent on equipment and training of same security services that prosecutors are now accusing of extrajudicial execution of teenagers and students. Can I say the money US is giving is being used by Mexico to train people who are killing children and teenagers? So here A, C, and D are interlinked. The outsider is because A, C, and D, even though in D the country has not been mentioned, Mexico has not been mentioned, but this aid has been referred. Which aid? Five sentences are related to a topic are given below. Four of them can be put together to form a meaningful and coherent short paragraph. Identify the odd one out, choose its number as your answer, and key it in. What does key it mean? It is a theta question. I told you a few minutes back that theta question used to be either parajumble or odd one out. You have to simply write the answer A or B or C, as this one does not fit here. This is the kind of question I usually avoid in the exam. It talks about poetry, poets, philosophy, and usually people who do not have reading habits will find this extremely difficult. I have deliberately kept these questions above average because CAT is no longer asking easier questions in VARC. They are no longer picking questions from newspapers, articles from newspapers. The poets in question have, like other poets, various faults. Can I say there's a group of poets on which there's a focus? There is a group of poets, and these poets, like others, have faults. There's something negative about them, but they were, at best, engaged in the task of trying to find verbal equivalent for the state of mind and feeling. Can I say this question sound like a comparison between two people or two schools of thought? But they were at the best. Like you are saying, uh, रमेश तो नालायक है but सुरेश देख कितना अच्छा है. Yes, it's a comparison between either two people or two sets of people. At least they were engaged in some kind of activity. What is the activity? They are trying to define state of mind and feeling. So one of these categories of poets maybe is trying to define the state of mind and feeling in words. Can I say A and B look connected? I do not know the sequence here. And this means both that they were more mature and they were better than the later poets of certainly not less literary ability. The ability between them is same. The ability between both is same. But one category of poets are more mature. Yes. And what do? They wear better clothes. Wear better means wear better clothes or kya? Can I say so far A, B and C seem all linked? First one talks about different categories of poets. Second one says one of the category is involved in what? Finding the language, words for state of mind and feeling. Third one says one of these categories of poets is more mature, even though their literary abilities are same. Yes, later observe then later poets certainly not less literary ability. So ability is same. One category is mature and wears better clothes. Poetry comes from heart and not from random philosophy. Now this is about poets or poetry. Earlier three sentences are about poets and category of poets. We'll come back to this. It is not a permanent necessity that poets should be interested in philosophy or in any other subjects. Poet can be interested in anything. Sunlight, table, bench, board. They can be interested in philosophy or any other thing, or maybe not interested in anything. When I say A, B, C, and E are talking about poets, and what is D talking about? Poetry. The one that does not belong is. Can I say also A, B, C, and E are more specific? B is generic. Poetry comes from heart and not from. But now what do we have? Four sentences labeled A, B, C, and D given in this question. When properly sequenced, form a coherent paragraph. Decide on a proper order for the sentence and key in the sequence of four numbers as your answer. So yes, in this case, maybe it is cause effect. Maybe you are moving from general to specific. It's also called focusing. Maybe you're looking for shadow sentences which are repeated again and again, or maybe looking for cause and effect. These are the 4 or 5 standard ways of clubbing sentences or pairing sentences. Again, my job is to first find the opening sentence. Once I do that, 60% of the job is done. Opening sentence. Can I say C and D cannot be opening sentences with their streamlined bodies? Swifts are agile flyers and so on so on. Can I say this looks like there is a praise being given for Swifts? Let me read the whole thing first. Woodlands canopy receives a lot of sunlight that falls on its trees. I do not know what a canopy is, what is woodlands area, and so on. It says some space has trees under it, and there's a lot of light there. It is a lot of light. Okay. Swifts do not confine themselves to woodlands, but hunt wherever there are insects in the air. Where do they hunt? They hunt in air. So they are talking about woodlands. Swifts are down below in woodlands. They are also above in the air for hunting. That is what B says. They don't confine themselves only to the plants or the trees, woodland. They also hunt wherever there are insects, and the insects are usually in air. With their streamlined bodies, swifts are agile flyers, ideally adapted to twisting and turning through the air as they chase flying insects. The creatures that form their staple diet. We'll come back to this. Hundreds of thousands of insects fly in the sunshine up above the canopy, some falling prey to swifts and swallows. Think in terms of time sequence. If I talk about time lapse, can I say it sounds like the sunlight falls on the tree, insects go up in the air, and swifts start to hunt them? Does it make sense that B will come after A? Now, because sunlight has fallen on these trees in the woodland, insects have gone up. What will happen now? Swifts will come and eat them. So what will come now? Will it be C, B, or will it be A, D, B, C? One of these is the answer. One of these is the definite answer. A, D, B, C, or A, D, C, B. Let us see. What should be the ending sentence? It should be a conclusion, or it should be a specific example. Let me read that part. Swifts do not confine themselves to woodlands and hunt wherever. So looks like more generic. The insects are in the air with their natural streamlined bodies and so on, so on, so on, up in the air as they chase the flying insect. So yes, it seems like after D there should be C. Sunlight has just now fallen on these trees, insects have gone up, and that is where the hunting is going on. Or it should look like 1, 4, 3, 2. Or usually nowadays in CAT they don't give you ABCD, they give you 1, 2, 3. The number sequence. ADCV, seems perfect. This is way too generic. Swifts don't have to stay in one area, they can go in and wherever they want. So we have solved uh, 3 para computation questions. Did we solve para summary? No, para summary is remaining. We have solved 2 or 3 odd one outs as well, and 3 or 4 para jumble so far. Just an overview of different kinds of questions. The 4 sentences labeled A, B, C, D given in this question, when properly sequenced, form a coherent paragraph. Do you see coherent has been used every time we have para jumble? Coherent means something that makes sense, something that has a logical flow. Each sentence is labeled with a number. In this case, see, numbers are not there. A, B, C, D are there. They'll have 1, 2, 3 for an exam. Decide on the proper sequence of order of the sentences and key in the sequence of 4 numbers as your answer. In the era of smart world, however, universal basic income is an ineffective instrument which cannot address the potential breakdown of social contract when large swaths of population would effectively be unemployed. We'll come back. In the era of industrial revolution, the abolition of child labor, poor laws, and growth of trade unions helped families cope with pressure of mechanized work. Growing inequality could be matched by a creeping authoritarianism that is bolstered by technology that is increasingly able to peer into the deepest vestiges of our lives. Come back. New institutions emerge which recognize ways in which workers could contribute to and benefit by the economic growth when rather than if their jobs are automated. Does it sound like machines are being introduced, work is being automated, and people are losing jobs? That's the main idea here. That is the main idea. That more and more machines are coming to the picture, because of which people are losing their jobs. Let us try to identify the starting sentence. In the era of smart world, however, can I say when you use however, you are changing tone? Is any tone given before this? No. So A must not be, cannot be my starting sentence. In the again, the starting sentence does not depend upon anything else. Other sentence depend upon that. And furthermore, does it make you feel it is giving an example? This way of measuring growth, universal basic income, is ineffective. Ineffective. Why? Because large section of population is unemployed. Can I say they will become unemployed after machines are introduced, after the work has been automated? Where is work being automated? We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. In the era of industrial revolution, the abolition of child labor, poor laws, and growth of trade unions helped families cope with pressure of machinized. Growing inequality could be matched by creeping authoritarianism that is bolstered by technology. Can I say again technology? Here we are saying that people are gaining more authority over the labor class because of technology. Yes, no? Yes. So this is supporting the idea that technology is bad for you, not opening. New institutions emerge which recognize ways in which workers could contribute to and benefit by economic growth. When rather than if. That means they will benefit. They will definitely benefit. It is about when will they benefit, not if they will benefit. That means benefit will be there. We are waiting for the benefit when the jobs are automated. So our feeling B is the opening statement. It is talking about industrial revolution where good policies were there, where good growth was there, even though work was being machinized. More machines are coming. So B is the starting word. Now how does the flow work? If I say however, after however, I am presenting negative. That means before that should be positive. Can I say here, we are saying there are new institutions that are coming to the picture that will benefit the economy and the worker both. The question is when will it benefit? Yes. Can I say after D I will have A? Guys, now because in A I have given you negative information, either I continue with negative or I bring in positive with one more however, one more but, one more if. You have one more but if in the sentence. You have said however, you have brought in the new negative information. Now can I say either the negative will continue or the tone will again change? For the tone to change, you must have but, if, however, which is not there. So it will be again negative. So I have got DA, I have got DA with me. I have used B as the starting sentence. Is C a negative part of information or positive? Growing inequality could be matched by creeping so on, so on, and so on, so on. It is talking about all negatives that people are gaining. D supports A. So your answer should be B, D, A, because in sentence A you have brought in however. And that sentence with however brings in negative information, negative connotation. So it will continue with negative. BDAC. कंटिन्यू करना है, ब्रेक चाहिए? ज्यादा पैसेज बना लेते हैं ना. Poem, yes. I have deliberately kept poem as one of the RCs because poem देख के people panic. They must know the history of the poet, his thoughts. उसके वाइफ का नाम बता, अरे तेरे को क्या करना है उसकी फैमिली से यहाँ पर. सी so hold on, let me do the major one. शीट बंद मत करो ना, शीट. I'll do this. I'll just first look at questions. We are starting our preparation. I'll look at questions. Which of the following options best reflects the theme of the poem? Can I say theme means main idea? Something talks about everything. Which of the following options best explains why the poet feels that those who are satisfied are the most wretched? So there is somebody who is satisfied, जिसका पेट भरा हुआ है, and that person is not a good person. That is what a poet feels. I need to know why does the poet feel that. Which of the following does the author attempt to signify while stating the example of clouds? That means clouds have been spoken about, and what do those clouds represent? Who is the author? Author is the poet. There's only one poem. There are no other views on poems. There's only one poem. So author is the poet. That's it. Any question? कुछ नहीं रखा क्या, ये डरते रहते हो आप लोग. पोएम है, कहाँ से? Usually poems are written in the groups of 3 lines or 4 lines. There is a technical word for that. Forget that for the time being. You try to locate, is this poem written in 3 lines, 4 lines, or 5 lines? There's going to be a pattern in those 3-4 lines. Say, I would not exchange the sorrows of my hearts for the joys of multitude, and I would not have the tears that sadness makes to flow from my every part turn into laughter. I would that my life remain a tear and a smile, a tear to purify. Does it make you feel that these lines are interconnected up to this point? What is the author saying? I will not exchange the sorrows of my heart for the joys of multitude. So can I say he is putting sorrows on a higher pedestal than joy? The author seems like a sadist. I do not know. He enjoys sorrows more than joy. And I would not have the tears that sadness makes to flow from my every part turn into laughter. He is preferring what? Tears over what? Laughter. Because there's an end, it gives me a definite idea. The first 2 lines and the next two are connected. Here, I'm not sure the 5th line is connected. Let us read that part. I would that my life remain a tear and a smile. What does he prefer? He prefers a tear and a smile. I've read first 5 lines, and sorrow is more than joy, tear is more than laughter, tear and smile is what he wants his life to be. He wants his life to be tear and joy. See how I have summarized that. A tear to purify my heart and give me understanding of life's secrets and hidden things. A smile to draw me nigh to the sons of my kind and to be symbol of glorification of the gods. पता नहीं क्या बोल रहा है. I am able to hear here. I am able to hear and understand this part, that tears are what? They are purifying his heart. And what are they doing? They are giving him better understanding of life and things. That is exactly what he says. A smile to draw me nigh to the sons of my kind and glorification, and to be a symbol of my glorification of the gods. I don't understand. I think maybe he's saying that he smiles. He's giving me reasons. Whatever was written earlier in 5 lines, he's giving me reasons. Why smile? So maybe he can attract similar people. That is my understanding of the sentence. A smile to draw me nigh to the, and so on, so on. A tear to unite me with those of broken heart. A smile to be a sign of joy in existence. अभी थोड़ी देर में तो कहता joy नहीं चाहिए. He is changing his tone here, but let us see. Let us see. What is he saying? The tear will bring him closer to whom? People with broken heart. Does it bring him closer to people with दिल बना दे भाई और तोड़ दे? कौन broken heart लिखेगा? A smile to be a sign of joy in existence. अच्छा, not happiness, in existence. He exists. He is enjoying that. I would rather that I die in yearning and longing than I live weary and despairing. Longing and yearning, aren't they same thing? Yearning, that, let us say you're yearning for, yearning is deep sense of desire. Longing also is the same thing. Longing is again desire. I would rather die in yearning and longing. Can I say he is saying he will die looking for something? Or rather use his words. Yearning and longing. He will die for those. He will die in those state of living. That I live weary and despairing. Despairing, बुरा feel ना, उदास feel करना. He wants to have, let's say, hope for something, yearning for something, rather than having despair. Despair means hopeless. He does not want to be hopeless. Again, I have not done any magic. I am simply reading what is given to me and I'm writing it down. I want hunger for love and beauty to be in the depths of my spirit, for I have seen those who are satisfied the most and wretched. Do you remember satisfied log chahiye the? Do you remember this? Let us go back. Let us go back. I want hunger for love and beauty to be there. He is looking for love and beauty. Can I say he is longing for love and beauty? Hunger means longing for. He is longing for love and beauty. He feels people who are satisfied are wretched. Can I say that means either they have achieved love and beauty or they don't appreciate love and beauty? Think of this. Who are satisfied people जिनके पास already है. That means people who are satisfied are wretched people because they already have what? Love and beauty. I have heard the sigh of those in yearning and longing. People like him. होता है ना? Oof, hi. He has heard those things. And it is sweeter than the sweetest melody. So he finds people like him attractive, sweeter than the melody. The voice itself is better than the melody. With evenings coming, the flowers fold her petal and sleeps, embracing her longing. At the morning's approach, she opens her lips to meet the sun's kiss. Can I see this person is explaining when the sun goes down, the flowers they sleep and they fold their petals. It's as if hugging something. That is what the person is calling as longing. When the sun goes down, the flowers are longing for embrace. Flowers are going back to sleep. When the sun goes up, can I say flowers open up, their petals open up? Yes, no. So here they are opening up to what? Embrace of sun or sun's kiss. The flower is opening her lips to meet the sun's kiss. The life of a flower is longing and fulfillment. What is longing? Raat ko sona. What is fulfillment? Meeting the sun is the fulfillment. Are you able to connect the two? You don't need to be poet to understand these basic things. Unless खतरनाक भाषा हो. A tear and a smile. ये बार बार tear and smile की बात कर रहा है since the third line. Tear and smile, tear and smile, tear and smile. The waters of sea become vapor and rise and come together and area cloud. Are clouds. ठीक है. What is it talking about? Water vapor. There is some water. It evaporates, goes above. It becomes what? It becomes clouds. Okay. And the cloud floats above hills and valleys. It floats above hills and valleys. There's a valley in sun and so on. Until it meets a gentle breeze. ठंडी हवा आ रही है, ठंडी हवा का झोंका like Samir. So once that happens, these clouds, what do? They start raining. And what is he comparing the raining with? Weeping. Weeping is crying. Crying is tears. So he's comparing the water with tears. So water evaporates. becomes a cloud, flies over things. Gentle breeze comes in, it starts crying. To the fields and joins the brooks. What are brooks? Small canals. And rivers returns to the ocean its home. So can I say water evaporated from ocean, became clouds, floated over the valleys. Gentle breeze comes, falls down in tears, and again through rivers and through valleys, where does it go? To the ocean. What is its or which is its home? ठीक है. और भी है. The life of a cloud. Do you remember the question about life of cloud? There was a question about life of cloud. That is why we read questions. The life of a cloud is parting and meeting, a tear and a smile. Now here understand, what is he calling a tear and what is he calling a smile? Tear, rain, smile, going up. So it is a cycle moving between going away and coming back, going away and coming back, going away from the ocean, coming back to ocean. And so does the spirit become separated from the great spirit to move in the world of matter and pass as clouds over mountains of sorrow. अभी क्या बोल रहा है ये उल्टी बात कर रहा है. There's a great spirit from which humans have come, and humans travel the land in the material world, and the humans are floating like clouds over what mountains of sorrows and the plains of joy to meet the breeze of death. So plains of joy, mountains of sorrow, कुछ तो लिखा है. And then the breeze is what? Death. The breeze of death. And return to once it came to the ocean of love and beauty. Who? God. So the author ends up comparing the life of a human with God. But in this case, we come from above, live on this maternal plane, material, not maternal, material plane, and then the breeze of death comes, and then we go back again to our source. Does it make you feel the person is very religious? Does it make you feel the person is writing in a fakir like manner? He does not want too much joy. He wants just a smile. He wants to keep his tears to himself. So fakir like person is writing this particular poem. Some very great fakir maybe. We don't know. Which of the following best reflects the theme of the poem? Misery is necessary as it inspires poor. Was it talk about poor people to find new meaning in life? So, the yearning of heart helps unite those in need and opens greater space for growth and development. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this because there is talk about uniting people. Do you remember? He wants to keep a smile to meet with people. He wants to keep a smile, so similar people comes and joins him. He 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 wants to have broken heart, so you could listen to other people broken heart. Let us come back to this. Let us come back to this. Despair and contentment are both necessary for growth of individual self. Contentment means fulfillment, means satisfaction. No, ये तो कह रहा है there should be always longing, there should be always yearning. Contentment should not be there. So C cannot be the answer, cannot be the main point, cannot be the theme of the poem. The challenges and joys that one experiences are necessary part of journey of life and of one's destiny. Were there any challenges faced? B or D, one of them should be the answer. Let us read that one more time. The yearning of heart helps unite those in need and opens a greater space for growth and development. Okay, बात नहीं हुआ. Yes, there's no talk about development. Yes, but destiny का बात हुआ है. Clouds, they go up. Yes, they go up. Breeze comes and they again go back to ocean. And for humans also, we come from a greater source. We live in this world and then we go back. Destiny has been spoken about. Answer option. So yes, poem based RC थोड़ा टेढ़ा होता है, but इतना भी नहीं है बाबा. People have created hype around it. And poem पढ़ना भी नहीं, exam में बना लेंगे. Don't worry. We'll have 3-4 RCs, maybe 4-5 RCs while we prepare for CAT of this type. That gives yes. that offers poem-based arts almost regularly. Almost regularly. Which of the following options best explains why poet feels those who are satisfied are the most wretched? So go back. Poet was talking about being hungry for love and beauty, and he says, uh, in the depths of his spirit, he should feel that longing for beauty and love. And those who are satisfied are the wretched people. So either they already have love and beauty, or they don't care for love and beauty. One of these two options should be there. Such people have achieved satisfaction through deplorable means. Deplorable means not so right means. Does it talk about means anywhere? No. The lack of longing and brings with it a sense of fulfillment and ability to understand secrets of life. They cease to they cease to hunger for. Why are they wretched? What is just written above that wretched statement? He's talking about his hunger for love and beauty, and they are wretched because they are satisfied. They already have ceased to have hunger, or they already have achieved love and beauty. Which of the following does the author attempt to signify while stating example of clouds? Again, can I say example of clouds is connected to people also? Because he has said both in the same breath, same thought. The cycle of give and take, the fact that all forms complete their life cycle through a series of partings and meetings, the reality that every occurrence has significance. ये सब क्या बोल रहा है? The coexistence of spiritual and worldly. Spiritual की बात ही नहीं किया. Answer is either A or B. Cycle of give and take. We'll talk about spirit. That is extending the concept of clouds. That we go back to our own source. The entire passage is about one person's experience throughout life. The person who's writing the poem. Why he prefers tear and smile over joy and fulfillment. Why he prefers longing or always staying hungry, and so on and so on. See here, why am I negating the last one? The coexistence of spiritual and worldly. Nowhere has he mentioned the spirituality of it. Worldly he has. When a person is born, he or she travels throughout the world of sorrows, through those valleys and through those plains. So discussion of worldly is there. Spiritual is not there. The fact that all forms complete life cycle going through a series of what? Meetings and partings. ये लिखा तो look at this. Cloud की बात हो रही है ना? See. Separation की बात हो रही है यहाँ पे from the main source and going back to that. And here also the cloud does what? Separates from ocean, then goes back to river and comes back home. So it is separation and coming back. That is how clouds have been discussed here. B Bombay. Bombay. तीन हो गए ना? खत्म कर देते हैं ना क्या है? Arithmetic is not there. Option could have been B or D. ये भी खत्म करते हैं. What is this? 3 questions, 4 questions. खत्म करके ब्रेक लेते हैं. Let us go back. चलो, read. You are starting right now. Have a look at questions. Have a look at questions. Which of the following is the main purpose or main function of myth? What is the difference between Hindu and Greek mythology? Does it make you feel there will be a unique place where two will be compared? These are called local questions or specific questions. You have to look at them and answer. Who created the first story of Greek mythology? Some names have been given. So I have to look for these names also. Idhar aa raha hai. What is the role played by Theogony in Greek mythology? There will be somebody named Theogony. I have to understand what has he done so great about Greek mythology. What does the author mean by pantheon of deities? There's something called as pantheon of deities. What is it is talking about? What are the similarities between Olympian gods and human beings? That's it. Some idea I have. Again, you guys are tired. Let me do this for you. Let me read. Let me scribbled. Myth has two main functions. There's something called as myth. It has what functions? Two functions. The poet and scholar Robert Greaves, I don't know who this fellow is, and when he's writing all of this in 1955. Robert Greaves, Robert RG, not Apnala RG, Robert Greaves. The first is to answer the sort of awkward questions that children ask, such as who made the world, how will it end, who was the first man, where do souls go after death. These questions are what? These questions are raised by children. Can I say he's not very positive about philosophical question? I mean, where does soul go? It's a philosophical question. So he says ये बच्चों के सवाल है. Myth is created for two reasons. Either you are answering children, these are options, or second function of myth is to justify an existing social system and account for traditional rights and customs. So there is some societal system, or there are some customs for which myths are created. They are the two purposes of myths. In ancient Greece, the story about gods and goddesses and heroes and monsters were an important part of everyday life. Can I say everybody knew these stories? Where? In what Greece? Ancient Greece. Everybody knew these stories. They explained everything from religious rituals to weather, and they gave meaning to the world people saw around them. So here it is saying that these mythological stories were very prevalent. Every person knew in ancient Greece, and they gave them some sense about things around them. Can I say this is more leaning towards the second form, societal system and customs. उनके आसपास के रिचुअल्स की बात हो रहा है, religious rituals, weather and so on so on. So यहाँ पे कह रहा है second is more important than the first one. In Greek mythology, there is no single original text like Christian Bible or Hindu Vedas that introduce all the myths, characters, and stories. So here he is saying, like Christian Bible is one you read where you study about Moses and everybody. That is one source. In Hindus, there are Vedas where you study about everything in one place. Instead, the earliest Greek myths were a part of an oral tradition. That means they were spoken as word, not written down. Earlier, they were spoken as word. That means Bible and Vedas are written down. That began in Bronze Age. I don't need to know what year was Bronze Age. And their plots and themes unfolded gradually in the written literature. So, पहले word came, from word they spread, and then they gradually started writing down things. Written literature of archaic and classical period. Again, old period. The poet Homer's 8th century before Christ, 800 years before Christian era. Epic Iliad and Odyssey, for example, tells the story of mythical Trojan War as a divine conflict as well as human one. That means, can I say, gods and humans, they are both fighting because it is called divine conflict. Gods are fighting, and who are fighting? Humans. They do not, however, bother to introduce the gods and goddesses who are the main characters, since the readers and listeners would already have been familiar with them. So when Homer wrote this book Iliad or Odyssey, where he talks about Trojan horse or Trojan wars, he does not mention too much about gods. Can I say that? He assumes, he imagines, because people already know. It is very common in ancient Greece. They already know these stories about gods. He does not need to introduce them. He can write about them, but not introduce. So he has written more about human wars. I can conclude this. Around 700 BC. This was 800 BC. That means this was Homer came before whom? Before Hesiod. Do you understand? In reverse, it is 800 before Christ, then it is 700 before Christ. Yes. So Homer's work came before Hesiod. जो भी नाम है इनका नाम है Theogony. Offered the first written cosmogony of or origin story. Cosmogony means origin story. See, explanation is already here. I don't know the meaning of word cosmogony. It is the origin story of Greek mythology. The Theogony tells the story of universe journey from nothingness, chaos, a primeval void to being and details an elaborate family tree of elements, gods and goddesses who evolved from chaos and descended from Gaia, Earth, Uros, Sky, Pontos. So they are coming from four different parts: Earth, Sky, Sea, and Underworld. Again, who is this person? Theogony. He is the first person who is talking about there was zero earlier, now there is a world. And this world has what? This world has elements. This world has gods. And where are the gods coming from? Earth, sky, sea, or underworld. I can give you names, but Journey. This was done first by Theogony. He created or he wrote a story about from zero how world was created. Later, again, Homer, Theogony, and later Greek writers and artists used and elaborated upon these sources. Who are the sources? Homer and Theogony in their own work. For instance, mythological figures and events appear in 5th century. 5th century means Christ has come and gone 500 years after Christ. Here, 5th century of these names are given. These names are given. Euphrates and so on, so on. And the lyric poems of Pindar. So all these people came after Homer, Theogene, and so on, so on. Writers such as 2nd century BC. That is fine. Sequence is being given. When did these guys come? Greek mythographer Apollodorus, some khatarnak name of Athens, and the 1st century BC Roman historian Caius Julius Hyginus, some name, compiled the ancient myths and legends of contemporary audience. Okay, there's a small mistake we have made. When he said 500 years, it is still BC. So Homer came, Theogene came, and then came these authors, these three, and then came these two authors, Julius Hyginus and some other fellow. They are writing for general public now. They are writing legends for general public, contemporary audience. At the center of Greek mythology is the pantheon of deities who were said to live on Mount Olympus. Pantheon of deities. Can I say something like group of deities? Who lives where? On Mount Olympus. Some mountain is there. On the top of that, some gods live, or group of gods live. The highest mountain in Greece. From their perch, they ruled every aspect of human life. Olympian gods and goddesses looked like men and women, though they could change themselves into animals and other beings, and were, as many myths recounted, vulnerable to human foibles and passions. These guys also had human weakness. Do you read this part? Understand this part. Olympian gods and goddesses look like men and women, though they could change their shape and something. They could turn into animals or birds. Okay. And were, as many myths recounted, vulnerable to human foibles and passions. They had same weakness as humans. We could make mistake, they could make mistake. And this has been sent in many myths. Done, that's it. Let us go back. Mythology ke upar, yes. Which of the following is the main function of myth? What are the two functions? Either to answer children, the kind of question they ask: why are we born? Where do humans come from? Where will we go after death? Who created the world? Childish questions. Or to explain societal systems and customs. These are the two purposes for which myths are created. Which of the following is the main function of myth? To answer questions that are yet unexplained by science. Was it talk about science anywhere? To satisfy curiosity of children about the world? Yes, could be, could be. To explain rationale behind everyday ritual or religious rituals, religious customs, rituals, not everyday ritual. To answer unanswerable questions, no way. Out of context, out of world. Answer is to satisfy the curiosity of children. This was one of the main ideas. Other was to talk about society and what we see around us. What is the difference between Hindu and Greek mythology? What did we see? Hindus, they have Vedas, which was written. So Hindus have one place where they can go and study. Greek mythology was spoken word and then written down. Yes, that was the major difference. You guys remember this part here? Here, while writing here, this is where Vedas and Christian Bible is being compared with Greek mythology or reverse. Greek mythology was basically spoken word and then later on it was written by people, written down. Otherwise, Christians, Bible and Hindus always have had Vedas, which are written down. That is the main difference. There are texts explaining Hindu mythology, but no such text exists about Greek mythology. Hold on. But right now they have written down. Na? Hold on. We'll come back. In Hindu mythology, all stories and characters can be explained by a single text or collection, but this is not true for Greek mythology. This, can I say, sounds or captures more essence of the previous paragraph. That we can go to Vedas and understand what is happening and why is it happening. But Greeks did not have that. Hindu mythology was passed down through written text, but Greek mythology was passed through oral recitation. This also seems correct. But again, once it was passed, it was written down or not? It was written down. In Greek mythology, the main characters of a story are not as well explained. So answer is either A or B. You pick. B, Bombay. B is more elaborate. In Hindu mythology, all stories and characters can be explained by single text, what we call Vedas, or collection of text Vedas. That is not true for Greek mythology. But now it has been written. It says it was passed with oral recitation. And after all, do you see there are 7 names which are written down in the stories, mythology? You are focusing only on one paragraph. After the paragraph, there is a lot of evidence that people have written down these stories. Option C seems correct, but it's a trap. It negates the, I'll say, last 3 paragraphs altogether. Who created the first Greek mythology? Created. Understand. Homer written it down. Homer wrote it down. Did he create the mythology? Among the names, you have Homer, then Theogen, then 3 people together, then 2 more. But did he create? He wrote down. Otherwise, people in hurry will mark Homer. He wrote down stories for the first time involving gods and humans, but he did not write much about gods. He wrote mostly about humans and Trojan. What is the role played by theogony in Greek mythology? Go back, specific question. Theogony. What is he doing? He's talking about creation of world from zero. He's talking that there are 4 elements from where gods come. Read that part. Read that part. Read this part. Around 700 BC, the poet Hesiod Theogony offered the first written cosmogony. I don't know what cosmogony is, or origin story. Cosmogony is the origin story of Greek mythology. Theogony tells the story of the universe's journey from nothingness, means zero, to chaos, to being, zero to one, and details an elaborate family tree of elements, gods and goddesses who evolved from chaos and descended from. So when world was created, these gods were created, and they came from these 4 sources: earth, sky, sea, and underworld. So what was the role theogony played in the Greek mythology? It tells the story of how world began. Yes, sounds correct. We'll come back. It introduces 4 main characters of Greek mythology. Does he say 4 characters or does he say 4 sources of characters? 4 sources of characters. It helps explain myth of chaos. Is he explaining chaos? No, he's saying chaos is a ban gaya. It tells the story of earth and sky. Nahi, earth, sky, underground, sea. What our answer is? How the world began. What does author mean by pantheon of deities, temple of gods, realm of heroes, place of worship, group of gods. Now, there are a lot of people in the market who tell you can answer a question without reading passage, they will give you wrong answer. Now, the pantheon is the name where gods live. Pantheon is the name of the place where God lives. So people will mark answer option A if they have not studied the passage. Here, pantheon of deities, if you remember, was used here. At the center of Greek mythology is the pantheon of deities who means people. So group of gods, pantheon of deities who go and live on Mount Olympus. Now the pantheon name is for the place. So what does pantheon of deities mean? Hey Baba, group of gods who, pantheon of deities who live on Mount Olympus. Who means people. People as in this case God. Place of worship and temple is pantheon of deities, group of deities. What are the similarities between Olympian gods and human beings? They look like humans. Yes, it is clearly mentioned. So A has to be there. A has to be there. This is gone. This is there. This is there. So first, third, or last. They had weakness like humans. Yes. Talks about this also. They were passionate as humans. Sounds correct to me. Sounds correct to me. Let us go back. Where are gods compared with humans? The last line. Let me read that one more time. Olympian gods and goddesses look like men and women. Absolutely, A is there. Though they could change themselves into animal and other things. Very good. And were, as recounted by myths, vulnerable to human foibles and passions. When you say end passion, is it still talking about human passion or their own passion? Human foibles, human follies, human mistakes. That is there. A and B are there. The passion is nowhere connected only to humans. It could be their own passion also. Their weakness or they were vulnerable to what? Human follies, human mistakes they could also make. Yes, they could get jealous, they could feel envy and so on and so forth. And human passion कहाँ बोला है? And passions कहाँ है? Human foibles and passions. So that is dicey. The last one, C, is very dicey. They were passionate as humans. कहाँ बोला है? नहीं बोला. Only A and B. Only A and B. Change करना is not a weakness. They look like human, though if they want they could change. It's not a weakness. Change is not a weakness. आखिरी में बोला है like humans they had weakness. They were foible to human weakness. आखिरी सवाल 20 क्वेश्चन का शीट ही बनाया है. चलो. The passage below is followed by 4 summaries. Summaries we have not done any summaries. Summaries we have not done. We have done eliminate the last sentence. 3 questions we have done. Complete the sentence we have done. Again, in summaries, what you need to focus on is your answer must capture the essence of the whole passage, must not introduce anything new or out of the world into the passage. Should the moral obligation to rescue and aid person in grave peril felt by a few be enforced by criminal law? Some people feel there's I have a moral duty. If somebody is in danger, I should go and help. If I feel like. But some people are saying by law you should go and help. Do you understand that? Some people feel there should be a law enforced that you have to go and help. Should we follow the lead of a number of European countries and enact bad Samaritan law? That means a person, bad person. Proponents of bad Samaritan laws must overcome at least 3 different sorts of obstacles. So if you don't go and help, you are a bad person. That is what this law says. If you don't go, you are a bad person. And it says some of the European countries already have. They already have these laws. Now it says The proponents of this law must overcome at least three different sorts of obstacles. There are three things standing in the way of these becoming a law. First, they must show laws are morally legitimate in principle. That is, the duty to aid others is a proper candidate for legal enforcement. You can legally enforce that, it is your duty. Can I say it's talking about legality? Just talking about legality. Can you enforce that particular law? Second, they must show that this duty to aid can be defined in a way that can be fairly enforced by the courts. See, you have fallen down in an accident. Now, till what degree should I go? Should I take you to the hospital as well? Should I pick you up? Should I give you first aid and go? So they should also explain to what degree the aid should be given. That is what the second one says. You have to define what. What does that aid mean here? Read that part one more time. Second, they must show that this aid to duty can be defined in a way that here who are the you must do this and fairly enforced by the court. It should not be in vague language. It should be in clear language what your duties are. Third, they must show that the benefits of the law are worth their problems, risks, and costs. Can I say you are saying it should be more useful than it costs? What could be the cost? When you pass a law, what will be the cost? People will go to jail if they don't help others. You have cost there as well. Cases will be there. There will be a cost. So you have to tell me that there are benefits to this, and those benefits are more than risks and costs. What am I looking for? I'm looking for something that captures author's position. It should involve all these things. Some countries in Europe have these laws. Can we enact? There are three hurdles. Legality, you explain. To what degree should I help? And third, should be more useful than the cost. Let us read. A number of European countries have successfully enacted bad Samaritan laws may serve as model structures. Maybe bad Samaritan laws may be desirable, but they need to be tested for what? Yes, this makes more sense. We'll come back to this. Makes more sense. The first one. See, in the first one it says some countries have enacted. You should use them as model. तुम भी लगा नहीं ये तो बोल रहा है even if they have enacted, you need to check them on three criteria. You cannot use blindly those examples of European countries. So first को तो बात ही खत्म करो बाहर करो. Talking reverse. Everyone agrees that people ought. अरे क्यों? Where does everyone agree? We are talking about making a law, na? If everyone agrees to help others, why do you need a law? Everyone agrees that people ought to aid others. The only debate is whether to have a law or not. nahi, nahi. If bad Samaritan laws are found to be legally sound and enforceable, they must be enacted. Must be enacted ये आपको बाहर कर दे रहा है क्यों? There may be many things that are needed, they are legally sound, but we enact them. Needs to be checked first. Answer option B, Bombay. May be desirable. They may be desirable. That is why I want to test on legal soundness and their proper definition. But I think a lot of people will go with option C. Everyone agrees that people ought to aid others. ऐसा आपको ऐसा लगा moral judgment is being passed. Yes, I should help others. But the debate is whether to have a law on it or not. So it does not talk about bad Samaritan law, does not talk about European. That is why C is too generic. Outside the scope.